one company that sits at the center of everything happening in crypto right now. On April 2nd, Coinbase Chief Legal Officer Paul Grewal went on Fox Business and said a deal on one of the most important crypto bills in American history could happen within 48 hours. Look, this is what he said.
I'm very confident we're going to see progress.
Sounds huge, right? But here's what most people are missing. The same company that says it's about to shape the future of US finance once accepted over $3 million from an American financier and a child sex offender, Jeffrey Epstein.
The disgraced financier Jeffrey Epstein is dead.
Did he kill himself? Was he killed?
There was something happening here that was bigger than just Jeffrey Epstein.
This is the same company who spent over $100 million to help pro-crypto politicians win elections through a super PSE called Fairshake. Coinbase CEO Brian Armstrong was publicly confronted by the most powerful banker Jamie Dimon, CEO of JP Morgan Chase. He interrupted Armstrong's coffee meeting with former UK Prime Minister Tony Blair, pointed his finger at Armstrong's face and said, "You are full of shit." Now, recently on April 8, 2026, the US Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent published a Wall Street Journal op-ed demanding Congress pass the biggest crypto bill in American history. He said 1 in 6 Americans holds crypto. He called the market worth $2 to $3 trillion, and he wrote, "Economic security is directly tied to national security." Now, on April 9th, Brian Armstrong posted on X. He said, "We agree." 2 words that change everything. We are the Crypto Times. We have been tracking this story step by step. The bill, the deadlines, the delays. Today, we connect everything. Coinbase, Epstein, Wall Street, the White House, all tied together. Let's go back to where this really started. December 2014. Coinbase was still a young exchange, valued at around $400 million. It was raising a $75 million funding round. Big investors like Andreessen Horowitz were already in. Then came a surprising email. On December 2nd, 2014, Brock Pierce, co-founder of Tether, wrote to Jeffrey Epstein. He called Coinbase the most platinum-plated deal in the space. Epstein then asked LinkedIn founder Reid Hoffman for advice. Hoffman said, "I probably wouldn't play." Epstein ignored him. His reply to Pierce was, "Take the $3 million." Documents released by the Department of Justice shows that Epstein invested over $3 million into Coinbase through an IGO LLC company registered in the US Virgin Islands that he controlled. At that time, Epstein was already a convicted sex offender. He had pleaded guilty in 2008 in Florida to soliciting prostitution from a minor. This was on the public record, everyone knew. And Coinbase co-founder Fred Ehrsam was already on the email chain. The next day he wrote, "Would be nice to meet him if convenient." Then after in 2018, Blockchain Capital bought back half of that stake, over $14 million. That gave Epstein nearly $12 million in profit, half of his position alone. No wrongdoing is claimed here, these are the public records. But this early chapter helps explain the power of this company holds today. Now before we move on, there's one more thing about this story that nobody is talking about. How do we even know about this Coinbase investment? That's because of a law called Epstein Files Transparency Act. A law that was signed by the United States President Donald Trump on November 19, 2025. Trump had actually opposed the bill for months. He personally lobbied the Republican members at the White House to kill it. But it passed the House 427-1. The Senate approved it unanimously. Trump signed it without the reporters present, and then, starting December 19th, the Department of Justice began releasing the files. Over 3.5 million pages were released. And inside those files was the Coinbase email chain. And inside those files was the IGO LLC paper trail. And inside those files was the $3 million transactions. But Here's the surprising part. Even Trump's name appeared in the files more than 1,000 times. He has not been accused of any crime, and even his public record is clear. Trump and Epstein were friends from the late 1980s through the early 2000s. They partied together, they flew together. Federal prosecutors documented Trump as a passenger on at least 8 flights on the Epstein's private plane between 1993 and 1996. Trump has said the friendship ended in the early 2000s when he banned Epstein from Mar-a-Lago. So think about what does that mean. The same file that exposed Coinbase's $3 million investment are the same file that exposed the president's own long-decade friendship with the same man. A president who tried to stop the bill ended up signing the bill that exposed the company that is now shaping his administration's biggest crypto law. Everyone in this story was closer to Epstein than they wanted you to know. And that's what makes what comes next so important. Before I tell you how Coinbase stopped the Senate vote, you need to understand the bill they have been fighting for. Right now in America, nobody knows who regulates the crypto. The SEC says tokens are securities, we regulate them. The CFTC says tokens are commodities, we regulate them. Result: years of lawsuits, confusion, and companies leaving the USA. So now, what's the solution? The Clarity Act. The Digital Asset Market Clarity Act of 2025. It draws the line. SEC handles securities and CFTC handles commodities. Every token gets classified, every exchange knows which rules apply. It passed the House easily in July 2025 with 294 to 134 votes. It received strong support from the White House, the Wall Street, and the crypto industry. Everything looked on the track. But inside the bill, one clause about the stable coins, and that one clause turned this into a war. Think of it this way. If you put money into savings account, your bank pays you interest. Stable coins like USDC are digital dollars, same value as a dollar. Now, the question is, should you be able to earn interest at them just like you earn interest at a bank? The bill says no. No interest, no reward, nothing that is economically equivalent to bank interest. Standard Chartered analysts estimated that the stablecoin yield programs could pull $500 billion out of traditional banks by 2028. Now, Bank of America CEO Brian Moynihan warned it could redirect 30 to 35% of all commercial bank deposits. For Coinbase, this is personal, as their revenue share deal with the Circle, the company behind USDC, brought $1.35 billion in 2025. That's roughly 20% of their total revenue. This clause is a direct hit to Coinbase's highest marginal business. So what did Coinbase do? They just didn't lobby, they built a political machine. Coinbase became the single biggest donor to Fairshake, the crypto super PSC. Total commitments, almost $100 million. Nearly half of all the crypto money that flowed into 2024 elections came from the crypto industry. Fairshake spent over $40 million to help Bernie Moreno defeat Sherrod Brown, the powerful chair of the Senate Banking Committee. It worked. A pro-crypto Congress committee arrived. Trump returned to the White House, promising to make America the crypto capital of the world. And then, on January 14, 2026, the night before Senate Banking Committee was set to vote, Brian Armstrong posted a tweet on X. Materially worse than the current status quo, rather to have no bill than a bad bill. The Senate postponed the vote the next morning. One tweet, no congressional vote, no lobbying firm, no legal challenge, one CEO on X. The United States Senate blinked, the crypto industry split. Chris Dixon at A16Z publicly disagreed. Ripple backed the bill, Circle backed it, Kraken backed it. The White House called it a rug pull. Brian Armstrong was publicly alone in this fight, but he held the line. After that, everything escalated. At the World Economic Forum in Davos, Armstrong tried to talk to major bank leaders. Wells Fargo CEO refused to talk with him at all. Citigroup CEO gave him less than a minute. But Bank of America CEO gave him 30 minutes and said, "If you want to be a bank, just be a bank." That is the CEO of America's largest bank talking with the CEO of America's largest crypto exchange at the most powerful business conference about stablecoin interest rates. And then something strange happened. JP Morgan's CEO Jamie Dimon interrupted Armstrong's coffee meeting with former UK Prime Minister Tony Blair, pointed his finger at his face and said, "You are full of shit." He told him, "Stop lying on television about banks blocking crypto." And then the Treasury Senate picked a fight. On February 5th, 2026, Scott Bessent testifies before the Senate Banking Committee. He said, "There seems to be a nihilist group in the industry who prefers no regulation over this very good regulation." Then he went even further. Any market participants who don't want it should move it to El Salvador. The United States Treasury Secretary told American crypto companies to leave the country. But then Trump entered. On March 3rd, he posted on Truth Social a direct attack on banks. He said, "Americans should earn more money on their money. The banks are hitting record profits and we are not going to allow them to undermine our powerful crypto agenda that will end up going to the China." On March 20th, a compromise was proposed. Ban passive yield but allow limited activity-based rewards. Coinbase reviewed it, and on March 25th, they rejected it again. This is their second formal rejection. The Senate went on Easter recess with the bill unrevised. But here's one more detail that people aren't connected. While all of this was happening, Fred Ersam, the same Coinbase co-founder from the 2014 Epstein emails, was serving on the president's top advisory council on science and technology. He supported the bill. Armstrong, being outside of that circle, kept blocking it. After the second rejection, after the Easter recess began, everyone thought this fight was frozen until mid-April. Then in just 1 week, everything changed. Let me walk you through it day by day. April 2nd, Coinbase's chief legal officer, Paul Grable, went on Fox Business and said something unexpected. His exact words were,
"But talk about that 48-hour time frame. Do you really believe that we're going to have resolution in 48 hours after all of this?"
I'm very confident we're going to see progress. And the reason for that is we need to finish the job. It's true, the Genius Act passed last year was a watershed moment for crypto and for the crypto economy. For the first time, we had sensible rules in place that govern this important part of crypto. However, it's important that we provide a full market structure into which the crypto legislation from last year can fit. And that's what Clarity fundamentally provides.
48 hours. That window would have closed on April 4th, Saturday, the day before Easter Sunday. And then silence. Saturday came, Saturday went, no deal. Easter Sunday, no deal. Easter Monday, no deal. The days that followed, still nothing. The 48-hour promise came and went over a holiday weekend. The entire crypto industry was left waiting. Then on April 8th, everything broke open. April 8th, the Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent published an opinion piece on the Wall Street Journal. Not a tweet, not a press conference. Directly, the Wall Street Journal op-ed. He wrote that the crypto market is worth $2 to $3 trillion. That 1 in 6 Americans hold digital assets. That without the Clarity Act, the broader market structure is still in chaos. His exact words, "Economic security is directly tied to national security." This is the US Treasury Secretary Writing in one of the most important financial newspapers in the world, just the days before, Senator returns from the Easter recess, telling the Congress, pass this bill now. Hours later, the White House dropped a bomb on the bank's entire argument. The Council of Economic Advisors released a report on stablecoin yield. Remember, banks argued that the stablecoin yield would cause a massive flight deposit that trillions would leave the banking system. Even the White House's own economics said that this is not what happens. When someone moves money into a stablecoin, the issuer buys Treasury bills. The seller of those T-bills deposits the cashback into a bank. One bank may lose a deposit, but another bank gains one. At the system level, the money never leaves banking. And the kicker, the report estimated banning stablecoin yield would cost users $800 million in lost value, $800 million in consumer harm. That too, protect a deposit flight problem that the White House's own economics says barely exists. Now, on April 9th, the SEC chair Paul Atkins backed Bison's push. He posted on X, Project Crypto is designed so once Congress acts, the SEC and CFTC are ready to implement the Clarity Act. He said it's time to future-proof against rogue regulators. The Treasury Secretary, the SEC Chair, the White House economics, all on the same day saying the same thing, pass this bill now. And then suddenly, hours later, Brian Armstrong posted on X. He said, we agree. Thank you Secretary Bessent for saying it. It's time to pass the Clarity Act. Grateful for all the bipartisan work among senators and staff over the past several months to make this a strong bill. Two words that change everything. We agree. The man who stopped the Senate over just a tweet in January, who rejected compromise in March, who let Graval's 48-hour promise expire over the Easter weekend, just said yes. So here's where we stand now. Polymarket odds have jumped, currently sitting around 60 to 70%, up from 51% just days ago. The Senate returns from Easter recess on April 13th. The Banking Committee markup is targeted for late April. Chairman Tim Scott controls the calendar. And Senator Bernie Moreno, the man Fairshake spent $40 million to elect, was explicit. If this bill does not reach the Senate floor by early May, digital asset legislation may not advance again before 2027. This fight is not about the crypto prices. It is about rules. It is about control. It is about who gets to shape the future of money in America over the next 50 years. At the center stands one company. It started small, it grew bigger. It spent over $100 million on politics. It stopped a Senate vote with just a single tweet. It faced down the biggest bank in the country. It even forced the President and the Treasury Secretary to push for this bill. And then, after blocking it twice, it said, we agree. But there's one thing this company still hasn't done. It still hasn't said a single word about the Epstein investment in 2014. So where does this leave us? The Clarity Act isn't just about another crypto bill. It's a turning point. It's a decision about who gets to decide the rules of money over the next decade. On one side, governments and regulators trying to bring structure. On the other, an industry pushing for flexibility, innovation, and control. And right at the center of it all is Coinbase. What we have shown in this video is based on publicly available records, timelines, and statements, and should not be considered as an independent claim by us. Some parts are clear, some are unfolding. But one thing is certain, that this story is far from over. We are the Crypto Times. We will be tracking every development, every shift, and every decision that shapes what comes next. If you found this breakdown valuable, then consider subscribing. And most importantly, what do you think? Should stablecoins function like a bank, or should crypto follow completely a different path? Let us know in the comments, and we will see you in the next episode of the Crypto Files.